You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
What's up, everyone? Paul Apostolakis, Brad Weisgerber, Salvatore Kuzmano. We are Inside Real Estate. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you that have listened to us before, thank you for coming back. For our new people, please go on. And if you do like the show, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You can find us on irepodcast.com. You can go to Facebook.com/IRE podcast. You can find us on YouTube or anywhere that you want to listen to podcasts. We are generally there if you search Inside Real Estate. So that's it. Today we have a really good guest. His name's Sheel Sohal. He's been on the show before, so we don't have to do all the background stuff. But there are some things I wanted to talk to him about. There, he does a lot of higher end sales, so I want to talk about what he's seeing in his market, because there was a report that said the higher end sales are up 26% as opposed to regular sales, which is interesting. I also wanted to talk about Fannie and Freddie getting tighter, and are we going to see some more FHA loans? I think that'll be an interesting topic, and why FHA loans kind of have a bad rap in the purchase business. So, but without further ado, I want to bring Sheel up and kind of get him in the conversation. Sheel, welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate it. How you guys doing?
Good, bro. Good. So Sheel, how have you been since last time we talked, man? Everything good?
Yeah. I mean, when we last spoke, the market was, I think, like just picking up outside of COVID hours.
Yeah.
But now we're back in play and it's a full-time gig. So it's like everyone's it's a racehorse, literally. Yeah.
It's like it's really competitive. It was just starting to get competitive last time we talked. We kind of about what was going to happen, and we talked about we figured it's gonna be fine, everything's gonna be okay, but I don't think we expected the amount of how furiously the market kind of came back with as many offers as there were.
Yeah, I mean, I had clients who said, "Oh, the market's probably gonna slow down, it's not gonna be the same," and then they ended up calling me this year saying, "Hey, I want to sell my house." So it's like, in a good way, there's a good shift, but I think it's only going to continuously go this way. Don't foresee it slowing down just because it's now warmer outside and we got green trees. So you're going to see more listings pop up because people said, "Hey, I want my house to look seasonal," versus just be like some fucking winter photos. So with that being said, I think it's going to get only more competitive. So if you're not pre-approved with you guys specifically, shit. See you next year.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough. And so do you think it matters where you get pre-approved from, Sheel?
I definitely do. I mean, if someone throws a quicken on my desk, I kind of shake my head and say, should I just do highest and best and hope for a better? What? No offense to them. It's just that where we're at right now is if you don't have your finances in order, then you're really not going to be in a situation where you can purchase a house. Specifically because, good listing agents actually even call the buyer's agent, the buyer's like lender, and say, "Hey, what's the situation?"
Yeah, and
we're doing that on all the offers.
Selling agent. A good LO actually calls a selling agent and tells them how good their client is too.
Yeah,
right?
I mean specifically because I use Sal. So when I tell Sal, I say, "Hey, do me a huge favor." He says, "I already did it." He called the listing agent and gave him the heads up that this person's well good to go, and that's what I think makes the difference between a personal LO or a team member that you can call your team member, like you guys, or just someone who's on the internet mortgage.
Yeah, it is interesting, Sal, and I know you do that quite a bit. Why do you do that, Sal? Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what the mentality is? Why a loan officer would call a listing agent?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, as a listing agent, Sheel, has anyone ever called you and been like, "Yeah, this one's like
fucked.
Skating by, like this one's shitty," right? Like probably never, right? But I think it on our end, like I don't write a pre-approval unless I know that the deal will close, right? But I can't speak for everyone, but I think it sets the tone, right? It sets the tone as to what you can expect as far as communication in this process, right? You call me, I do, we pick up the phones, we get things done. Like that's just how it goes. And, it's worked out pretty well. I mean, I built my business just by answering the phone or calling,
and a good buyer's agent. Right, and a good buyer's agent actually will hound the listing agent and say, "Look, my lender's going to give you a call." Like I have that happen to me all the time, and I'm not going to lie to you, I give that offer a little bit more attention just because I could tell these guys seriously need this house or want this house, and then I go to the sellers and say, "Just so you know, I did do a full background on this one, and we're good to go."
Yeah,
so it helps me out, help them out.
Every little inch makes a difference in this market. Anything that can help put that buyer in a better light, I think is really important. I mean, are you still seeing multiple offers right now, Sheel? Like
Almost
multiple offers?
everything. I mean, we had a house that was listed as a coming soon. They were doing sight unseen offers. So with that being said, obviously we're giving respect to the people who want to see the house, just because we worked hard just to put it on the market. So we want to make sure everyone gets a fair chance.
Right.
Also, which I think is the principle of the coming soon now. But as of right now, there's tons of multiple offers, highest and best. Some people have the audacity to put highest and best before they even list it. They already know where it's heading. It's a fun move to watch, but I'd say I'm doing that. But I know I've seen it, and I was like, oh, that's the market we're in. But
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying no, but it is highest and best, and that's why really having your good finances in order is going to make or break your offer.
Yeah. I mean, what are you seeing kind of in the high? I mean, I know that you do some higher end purchases and listings. So there's an article that says high end home sales surged nearly twice as fast as sales of mid-priced homes. They're up like 26%. Now, obviously, they don't move as fast, so they probably had a bigger room, much more room to increase. But it looks like the higher end market is actually moving really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, like for specifically Michigan, because I look at it like its own little market, not like California, LA, or wherever. The thing about it is that in 2020, when we were coming from the winter to now January, people had houses on the market that were still there, and then this instantly sold 2021 because there was no inventory, and that's what people were scared about. There was low inventory and they can't find anything. Now that there's more inventory coming up, people kind of have somewhat of options, but at the same time, it's very competitive. Like we have houses that are priced between $1 and $4 million that are just getting multiple offers, and it's crazy. Like specifically like Birmingham itself, there's been more sales in the 3 to 5 range than ever. So I mean, there's just a high market demand for luxury homes right now.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that.
I would think a lot of people are thinking too, all right, this is going to be more of a longer term deal, right? Like I'm going to be locked in at the cheapest money that potentially will ever be available to me,
right?
Savvy high end buyers. So that home that, sold for $450 is now $650 in Royal Oak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
So I think people are trying to hedge and lock in for some time. So they go big now as opposed to maybe taking it 2 steps.
Well, one of my clients, what he got for a $1.3 million purchase or under contract. I'm not going to disclose the bank, but 2.65 an interest rate.
Yeah. That's a good rate for a jumbo. Yeah. I mean, jumbo, nice. Sometimes you can, if you have assets with them, you can actually get a better rate than let's say conforming loans, just depending on what they have in the bank and what their manager does for them. But to borrow money in the twos, bro, twos. You're borrowing $1 million at 2%. It's very, very, very cheap. And the higher end market probably understands that more than anybody. Sal, to your point, that they're like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this. And so, but are you seeing more houses come on the market, Sheel? It feels like there are. It feels like more.
Yeah, no. Every day there's probably more houses coming to the market than there were last month. That's a good sign. And I think it really is because of the greens out there right now. That the photos are able to get done. People want to see properties. They're going to be more excited to go out and about. The mass regulations kind of slowing down a little bit. So with that being said, people are saying, hey, it's time to buy. And also because now that we're getting out of this little funk of last year, school systems are back to be revamped and reopened. So people have to get ready for that too.
Yeah.
So it will be tougher next month than it will be this month. And that will carry on throughout the whole year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we're going into July 1st, June 1st, a lot of restrictions that kind of got lifted here in Michigan. But July 1st, it looks like things are going to be much, much, much more open. And we're going back to it'll be a new normal, but it's more of a normal than it was in the past where, you can go to Kroger if you're vaccinated and not have a mask on, which is interesting, right?
Right.
So these restrictions are being lifted. It feels, and are we going to have the roaring 20s, masks off and people are like, all right, we're back and there's commerce and people are shopping again like crazy. And it seems like that's the way we're headed for the rest of the summer, at least. Yeah. Right.
No, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, right now it's still a world of its own, but it's still transitioning to that normal phase soon.
Yeah.
So I think come July 1st, we'll see a big change, especially in the real estate market too. But like I said, there's not going to be any way it's slowing down for sure. Not even next year. I mean, good properties are hard to come by. So when you see something that's very turnkey, don't sleep on it.
Yeah. And Sal, do you think, because rates could tick up, right? They could go to 3.5%, let's say, instead of 2.5%, right? Is that going to stymie the market or is that just still so low? It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, 3.5 is a great rate. Think about where we were a few years ago. I was just reading, people are calling me now about buying, and I just scroll up a little bit in the text, and I'm like, do you want to lock in 4 1/8? They're like, that's an amazing rate. Let's lock it in. You know what I mean? And, and then we've done a refi sense or whatever. But I mean, yeah. Is it going to potentially slow some things down? Yeah. I mean, there definitely won't be this refi craze that we had. But
sure.
You got to move, right? I mean, most people don't look at the rate or the interest they pay over the life of the loan. They look at the payment, right? You don't go to, like, when you buy a car, you're not like, oh man, I couldn't get a 2.5. I got a 3% on my car loan.
Right.
Does that stop you from buying the car? No.
Not really. No.
The payment threshold does, right? So I think that's, for the most part, how people think. But, I do think that we're about to see some changes. And I know you kind of briefly touched on this before, but in the way that these loans are being qualified now through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, it's becoming much more difficult to get approved with, higher DTI and minimum down. And I think that higher rates will play into that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, FHAs, are they like better right now? Or because I've had actually a couple clients convert from FHA to conventional in the last 60 days.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you bring that up, because yesterday we were talking about it with Sal. And so Fannie and Freddie came out with a new version of their approval system, right? They're Fannie Mae. So basically, I always say this: it's like a credit card. You put in everybody's information, you push it through, and Fannie and Freddie will say if you're approved or not, right? And in the past, 690 credit with 5% down and some good assets, you're fine, right? With DTI, that's debt to income ratio around 45%. We're like, okay, that'll work all day. And yesterday, Sal, we were running one with a new DU. And they had 35% DTI and 680.
Yeah, it was
credit.
in the 20s. They had 680 credit, and I put in fake assets as enough to buy the house cash, and it still wouldn't take it conventional. So
yeah,
I think it depends. I think they're analyzing certain things more like credit history as opposed to just a score. But it's probably not a bad thing. To back all these loans and continue to, especially. I mean, if you look at 2005, 2006, where obviously all these loans that they were giving out were not solidly backed, right? But the prices were crazy. Right. I mean, you look at people who bought their home in 2004, 2005, it's close to what it is now. Yep. And then it got smashed and came back up. So I think they're just, ultra hedging, especially with the amount of money that was pumped in this economy. Who knows? And to Sheel's point, I don't see things slowing down necessarily, but if the market softens up a little bit and stays stagnant, you got a lot of people who were expecting to probably have some equity, some turnkey equity in a year or two, who don't have it anymore. Right.
I think it's more of I think it's a needed correction, right? Because conventional loans and FHA loans are supposed to be different. FHA loans are supposed to be easier to qualify for, geared towards a first-time home buyer, right? But conventional for the last couple of years has been that. It's been a first-time home buyer. It's been easy to qualify for. FHA was kind of pointless unless you had a low FICO score or really high DTI. So with conventional kind of tightening up a bit, FHA is going to start coming back into the light a little bit because it is going to be easier to qualify for. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, conventional is the ideal loan.
Yeah, I hope we see more FHA pre-approvals out there on the street, or more offers, so it's more potentially considered. Because I got a lot of clients where it's like, hey, man, you easily qualify for this FHA. Absolutely no problems. Obviously, we have the appraisal differences with FHA, but as long as your house isn't a dump, you're probably not going to have any issues, or if are aware of that up front before the inspection or before the appraisal. But with the exception of 3 letters, FHA, this loan has just as much of a chance of closing as this conventional loan does, right? But mind you, the difference in what it means to that buyer, let's say someone's got a 670 credit score, right? 3% down conventional versus 3.5% FHA. Dude, they're saving, the rate's a percent lower. The PMI is more than half lower. I mean, it's this conventional loan that this person, quote unquote, needs to have, which probably has less of a chance of closing than the FHA loan they qualify for, right, is costing them $300, $400, $500 more a month. And it's kind of shitty for the buyer. I mean, they don't have a chance unless they go conventional. But
and when just to speak on that, Sal, and Sheel, I want you to kind of chime in on this. Basically, if Sheel, you've got two offers, one's conventional, one's FHA, they're relatively the same. You're generally going to lean towards a conventional because it has less restrictions than an FHA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very transparent person. So like, if the house is super turnkey, but if I see like obviously chip paint, some hazards, trip hazards, then we're in no man's land with the FHA, unfortunately. But if it's conventional offer, yeah, it's going to be tie to tie, always going to be the chosen one.
Yeah.
But I do foresee it changing a little bit. If they really do, it'd be nice. Not that many listens are even accepting FHA offers at this time.
Correct.
Just because it's a conventional world of its own. It's either cash or that conventional financing.
Correct.
And actually, to even make it even more crazier, if they're not even 20% down, they might even consider the offer either. So
yeah, that's kind of how it
situation.
is. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And
Yeah.
don't get it twisted. Look, go ahead, Sal.
I was going to say, most people who aren't putting that much down, right? Like, let's say you're putting 3 or 5% down, they don't have the money for the gap.
Yeah,
the waiver. So it's kind of like, I see some of these PAs come across. I say this almost every show, and it's like a purchase agreement comes across. I'm like, like, you can't do this. Like, this isn't going to work. We fingers crossed on this appraisal, and sometimes we get lucky, or other times they're like scrambling to call, mom,
one of
dad,
the high sales I had. Yeah, one of the high sales I had in Birmingham was a house listed for $399, ended up selling for $440. That's $40,000 over ass.
Yeah.
And this was probably a couple of months ago when it was just starting to get crazier. So with that being said, I think Sal actually had another agent right on my house, and they had wrote the crazy offer too, but they were only putting 5 to 10% down. And this other person said, "Hey, I will cover the difference no matter what. I'm waiving it." And it ended up appraising for $440, which is still crazy to hear.
Yeah.
But that's just the market we're in.
How much does that matter when you're looking at offers in a normal market? Not necessarily.
I typically don't care about the down payment, but if someone says, "Hey, I will cover that shortfall completely," they're just saying they have money for this. I mean, that's what happened on a lot of our Royal Oak listings this whole year so far.
But removing the crazy appraisal guarantee market we're in now, normally if you have multiple offers before appraisal guarantees, does that play a big factor if it's 5% down versus 20% down versus 10%
No, it really doesn't.
down?
I mean, because it's just like how much money a person wants to put down. If they want to put more money for furniture or some other types of goods, that's fine. But of course, if under the 20% realm, if it's that 10%, no one's judging those offers. They're all similar as long as the terms and the offer are better. That's the only thing that makes them different, not the mortgage contingency now.
Yeah.
So
and going back, Brad, to your point of how you want FHA and conventional to be separated, don't get it twisted. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are for profit, so they saw 100%. That they were losing like that part of the market share, so they loosened up their guidelines 3% down, and they were competing with FHA. That's basically what they did. And I think what they're saying now is they're being risk averse, I think, and they're actually tightening up early, which I think is the right thing to do.
I'd rather see some red flags in their portfolio, right?
Yeah.
Like this section on portfolio is at risk to get crushed should we have a correction in the value, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think though, and this is somewhat interesting, it probably doesn't come across too often, but like, what about VA? Considering that, like, you could have an 800 credit score with VA, you could have literally a 500 score with VA. Like,
VA doesn't really change what they do and what they don't do.
I know they have
pretty solid.
Yeah, I know they have some additional appraisal things like FHA, right? But like when you get an offer that comes across Sheel at VA, and I know every agent kind of looks at this different as well, or seller or whatever. But sometimes I get a lot of flack. People are like, yeah, sorry, we got multiple conventional offers, but like, I think the VA loan's misunderstood.
It's completely misunderstood. I mean, we have agents in here who specialize with working with veterans, and so it's unfortunate to see. I've gotten offers. I've actually taken the VA offer. They do have obviously addendums that are attached to them that are different, but a good story real quick is that I helped someone purchase a house with VA. They had a house they lived in Royal Oak, which is obviously a revenue generator, not a amenity builder. They were able to capitalize on the sale of it, but they needed time to get out of that house. So the most common thing right now is seller occupancy, post-occupancy. After you close in your house, you get to stay into it up to like 60 to 90 days. So I was able to sell their house off market, convert their VA into conventional, and they ended up purchasing their house because they take the proceeds from their current estate. So you just got to be creative with it. At the end of the day, if you have a VA loan, you got to really push it. If they don't want to accept it, if they have real estate, you got to go talk to them about that. So the fact that I had to sell their house without even getting their offer accepted was a big ask, but I got their offer accepted and I sold their house off market.
It's a little bit of a shame. It's a little bit of a shame, right?
It's super shameful because VA loan, they're a great loan, especially for the veteran.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. And just because it might have a couple nuances with the appraisal, right, or the property inspection, so everyone just turns it down. Like
it's a strong financing. It's strong financing.
It's really strong financing.
Well, it's pretty lenient, right? I mean, there's definitely some quirks on the loan side, but something else though that I think people got to consider is just because you qualify for VA, to Sheel's point, if you have the money down, like there's a funding fee with VA that the veteran pays, that if you're not exempt from the VA funding fee, it
can be expensive. Yeah, it can be expensive.
$3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000 versus hey, you should go conventional. The rate's a little bit higher, but like it makes more sense in your time frame. So yeah, I don't know. It is interesting, and obviously you're probably not getting USDA offers here in Royal Oak or Birmingham, but there's a lot of different loan programs. And one question I get all the time that I'm sure, you've asked me yourself, Sheel, is portfolio loans and non-warrantable condos. And I wonder what the future will be with that, with Fannie and Freddie's plan. And, are they going to loosen up on condos? Because I think some of those restrictions put in are so dumb.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to loosen up, man. If they're tightening up on everything else, I don't think they're going to loosen up on condos.
No, dude, they're getting tight and it's interesting that they're getting so tight when things are so hot. They're almost going opposite what they did last time, right? In 2008, basically when things got hot, things just got so loose you could do anything you wanted, right? Now it's so like healthy. It seems like our market, just from a supply demand, there's inflation and the prices are high, but it's fairly healthy, and they're tightening up now. Which I think will cause some issues. But do you guys think, Sal, now that they've tightened up, that people are going to have to go FHA where they potentially didn't in the past, and maybe people like Sheel or agents like Sheel are going to see more FHA offers because they've gotten so much tighter, especially in the lower, like first-time home buyer sector?
Yeah. No, I do. I think it's just for example, yesterday, I wrote 2 FHA pre-approvals that 6 months ago or a year ago would have been conventional all day.
Yeah.
But they won't qualify for it. So yeah, to your point, I think you will see more FHA approvals out there in the market, and more FHA offers. And just from a numbers standpoint, right? Some of those might stand out. Some of them might have the money to put more down and cover a guarantee. And then in that point, it's just a matter of the property. Like you said, Sheel, is there peeling paint, missing handrails, whatever. If not, we're looking at 2 great quality loans here. Which one's going to close?
I will say unfortunate though to help out a lot of FHAs year to date, but I can tell you transparently, all those sales most of them are off market. I do a lot off market. That's why.
So let's talk about that, Sheel. So when you say off market, can you explain to the audience what you mean by that?
So it's typically when I represent both sides. I represent the buyer and the seller. And these houses aren't even in the market. So they don't even have a chance to see the day of light because I end up having buyers for them. But sometimes I won't push that out because, in this market, it's actually better to go to the market just because how volatile it is, right? So I want my seller to obviously capitalize on the sale. But if they say, hey, you bring me this number, I'll sell today. Oh, here's your number. It's in writing.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
About 6 million year to date has been off market. We calculated that yesterday.
Wow, that's a lot, actually.
It is
a ton. Because ultimately, if I'm a seller in a market like this, unless there's like some crazy number in my head, like I want to get those multiple offers, right?
Right.
So what?
Most houses do have occupancy though, like 60 to 90 days, but that's just the world it is. That's also the normal part of the transactions today too.
That's so funny. Whereas before, it was like, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think a good agent has like a Rolodex of like buyers, right? Who, he's looking for this, he's looking for that, they're looking here.
Scared to shrink as my whiteboard.
And you're not out showing 100 homes. You're more or less like, I'll let you know, right, when something pops up.
For sure.
Yeah, it's funny how different the market, how quickly it changes. I had a friend of mine, he's been looking for a house, like he's been saying he's going to buy a house for the last 5 years. He rents, and he's got actually rental properties, but he rents. And every year he's like, oh, there's going to be a correction. Oh, there's going to be a correction. Oh, it's overinflated. Oh, it's overinflated. It's been every year. And now he ended up buying like a house in Royal Oak for almost 400,000, where his budget initially was like 200,000. And, you know, eventually he'll be right. If you keep saying something long enough, you'll be right. But we haven't seen a slowdown in the real estate market in quite some time. I mean, maybe little blips over here, but now it just year over year, it seems to be getting busier and busier because of this supply demand issue. I don't think the supply demand issue is going away, Sheel. Do you?
Not at all. No, I think it's just, like I said, it's only be more competitive in this nature we're in right now. So
yeah, because we're not building houses fast enough. So your cousin's a builder. Is he able to keep houses, like, is any of his houses sitting, or is he just building and selling?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different with him. You know, it's quite a long process. So
yeah,
it just depends as to, you know, how many lots he has, or sometimes things are in the works, you know, 6 months before they actually are able to even take possession of that land, right? That talk about off market, right? We had
a good one, me and you actually did.
Yeah,
the one that your cousin built the house.
Yeah,
on 2nd Street.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. I think he sold that for what, like 480 or something like that. Just
640.
Well, it went for 625,
yeah.
But a couple of years before, it was like, you know, 450, 480.
Yeah.
And it appraised for the new price.
I think it appraised actually higher, which is even better.
Yeah, I think it came in 5 grand heavy or 10 grand heavy, but that's crazy. But yeah, the you know, you look and you see all these new builds going up, but like those are, especially if you can see the house constructed, those are, you know, products of, you know, end of 2019, early 2020. So that's now fair. You know, with the way everything's been and people really not, you know, having a place to go, I think it's been a little more tough for him. But I know he stays busy, but you have to have, you know, a good agent. I think if you're a builder, you have to have like really, really good agents canvassing for you, right? Hearing about, sadly, you know, people passing away, this or that, and they go and they find that home and they bulldoze it and put a new one on it. You know, there's so many off-market things for them before they end up being able to present that lot or talk to, you know, a potential buyer. But I know his list is sure much longer than, you know, what the actual amount of buyers that he has or people building with him.
Yeah.
You know, Paul, you know, what's interesting, Paul, is that like I have some people who tell me they never want to do work. They want to find something, turn the key and go to bed. Now, because of like how crazy it is to build, people will buy anything and they will spend as much time as needed to renovate.
Renovations are happening all over the place. Yeah. I mean, people are buying houses.
I see a lot of new homes hitting the market that I think it's a new build. And then you look at the year build, it's 23, 40, whatever, right? Just full, you know, full renovation. But I hope, I think we're just going to see some more markets opening up that weren't before.
Yeah, we're going to see emerging markets like on the fringe areas of all these busy markets. Because in Michigan, in our area, you can still get houses outside of the main markets for relatively cheap, and it's not as competitive, I don't think. But it's still in those markets, still getting pretty competitive, like Hazel Park, Oak Park, these places around kind of big metro areas that are busy. They're going to start seeing a lot of movement as well, and they already have. So I do agree with you with that for sure.
Yeah, like I actually just purchased a house in Hazel Park as a rental property. Yeah, and you know, getting it for like 117 was a steal. Like, it's right next to Amazon. It's leased out for $1,600 a month now. So it's like, it's just nuts. Even the rental market too.
Yeah, I'm renting in Hazel Park right now, but I'm paying $2,400. It's a whole different story. The whole different story.
Well, how about those taxes? You know, I think that's
tax valuations on homesteads is going to be obviously unfortunate. That's the unfortunate part about it.
Especially in Hazel Park. 117 is probably what, $5,500 after it's assessed.
We'll wait for that assessment.
Yeah, but I think one of the big things right now that buyers got to realize, and it's just probably the same, you know, like for example, Ferndale, you know, if you buy something that is cheaper, there's usually a cost to it, right? I mean, even in Detroit as well, you know, unless you get one of those NEZ tax breaks.
The NES tax, that's even hard to find too. Those are running out,
right? And it's a pain in the ass to set up front on the lending side. But like the you know, opportunity cost of buying something in an area like that, for example, Hazel Park, I had a guy built a new build for $200,000, $220,000 in 2019. It's taxed at like 12 G's a year, dude. I mean,
Ferndale's expensive too.
Ferndale's nuts. Yep, and if you look year over year, the millages are coming down because there's a higher tax base for them to collect from for, what's needed. But like, yeah, if you're thinking about buying in those areas, you should be thinking long-term. I feel like, because if it's a short-term investment, you might make a little bit of money back on the appreciation, probably not as much in Ferndale as you would in Hazel Park, but you're going to pay an extra $5,000-$6,000 a year in taxes. So how many years does that break even? Especially now that we're quote unquote at the top, right? So
I think if there's no capital gains issues in the coming months, we'll also see some positive reinforcement with that.
It's funny when people buy houses, though, they don't always think about the tax implications. They're just looking at the house and where the taxes are today. But like everybody's taxes goes up once they move in, right? They're going to get reevaluated, and the chances are that they sold the house for more, and the house is worth more, so they're going to get taxed more, right? Yeah. So
one thing that when we were working with Quicken that I liked that they did, but I hated it too because people be like, "What the hell? My payments, $200 cheaper if I go with this lender." Is they would actually use the future millages and the new SCV to collect for their escrow account. And I'm like, well, you're not going to have a $3,000 shortage next year, right?
Right.
You're not actually spending that money, but like, it just doesn't work. I mean, everyone wants to use what the current taxes are, but that's a big deal. Tons of people always after they close a year later, hey man, I just got a bill for, $3,000.
Reassess, that's why I'm actually me and my girlfriend were house hunting in Nashville, not for ourselves as primary, for rental properties, because taxes don't change too much after you buy a property. They don't get reassessed, and on top of that, there's no such thing as non-homestead and homestead there. You can have as many real estate as you want and just go crazy there.
Really?
Yeah, it's a market of its own. So
that's interesting. I didn't know that was the case in Nashville. That's really interesting.
The bachelorette party heaven.
Bachelor party heaven
for Airbnbs. I mean, those Airbnbs be rented out every weekend. Yeah, but it is interesting too. Like when you get out of state buyers who've already purchased real estate here, they're like, "What the fuck? What do you mean the taxes are that high?" Like I live in $1 million home in California. They're like $5,000 or whatever because there's every state and every municipality does it differently. So
that's a good and bad part about Michigan. It's not all pros.
No, but Michigan's not that bad compared to other states, but there's definitely pros and cons. What is next? What do you see happening in the fall? Are we going to have a slowdown at all? Are we going to see things level out, or do you just you're saying you're just going to keep seeing it just go?
I'm going to keep seeing it as an influx. I think people are going to start saying I don't have to move, but if something comes in my nature that I like, I will move. So I really do believe even in the fall and the winter, it'll be just how it was recently. It's just going to be competitive and still hard to find something. There's people who are still, because obviously the empty nesters are going to be transitioning into Florida. I think that's becoming more of a permanent option for people now versus that I just want to be there for the winter time being. So I know a lot of clients who have not came back yet. Still, they're still there. So they're already telling me I might just sell my place and live here forever. So I'm seeing a slowdown when it comes to the elderly, probably just saying I'm going to position myself full time in a different state, whether it be Florida or wherever. But I do believe that the inventory will still be at a high rise come September and December.
I think a part of this too is the work from home byproduct of COVID, where people can live in a lot of different places. The commute doesn't matter as much. Do you guys see the work from home thing going away when everything gets unrestricted, or do you kind of see that sticking around?
I think it'll stick around for some time. I mean, I think it will be, it's going to be an option for a lot more people, but I think you're also going to see some, probably some negatives. Let's say you have a team of 10 people and you have the option to work at home, but 5 guys go into the office with the manager who's there. They're probably going to, potentially weed out those other people unless they're rock stars at home. And it's hard to gauge, the productivity depending on what the job is or the attitude or whatever it is. So I think that you might see some issues like that, where it's just those who come in are kind of more favored, which inherently probably could happen. But, I don't know. I think another thing too that, people thought of was well, whatever, I'll move to Arizona or California or wherever, Florida, and I'll come back for my team meeting once a month. Right. But I think that when they're looking at plane flights, and they were, $150 to fly to Florida. And now, I mean, after the snapback and probably how much money they lost, I feel like traveling itself is going to be crazy expensive. I feel like plane tickets right now are nuts.
They're nuts. The plane tickets are nuts.
You're Greek, right, Paul?
Yeah, I'm Greek.
I'm going to Greece.
You are? When are you going to Greece?
I was supposed to go on the 13th. Now I'm going on the 21st.
Are they opened up, right? We can travel.
Opened up.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been to Mexico too many times now, so I had to get something different.
Well, congratulations. You're going to what part of Greece are you going to?
So we're going to Santorini and Mykonos. Actually, I might scratch Mykonos though and do something different.
I mean, if you like to party, Mykonos is a place to be, but Santorini is a really nice spot. We'll talk about that offline. That's not. Yeah, we'll talk about that offline. So, but weren't the tickets crazy?
Yeah, no, they definitely influx. I mean, before you can go to lunch for Puerto Rico, same day you come back. But now it's obviously a lot more expensive. That's not possible. So they're back above 1,000. So I think travel restrictions have already kind of, disappeared now. So there's no such thing as a middle seat non-existing. That all seats are full.
All seats are full. Like I'm flying out to Vegas again for the second time this year, and the tickets were just so expensive comparatively speaking to like in the past, right?
Surprising, like Miami too.
Miami's the same way. Yeah, Miami you used to like
$700-800 for a coach seat. Right. And it's like
it's actually cheaper to go to Mexico, just so you know.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, I think it depends. Like where and they're no dummies over at the airlines. They've got it all mapped out and figured out, and they know. I mean, shit, you paid for those fucking tickets, dude, and you'll do it again. Yeah. And so will I, right? I mean, people want to travel. They can now. I mean, when someone tells you, man, you can't go to Europe for a year and a half, and I know you've been wanting to, you're going to go. You'll spend the extra grand or two, especially after all that PPP money got,
doled out.
I will tell you that the downside is, where I'm in like the craziest season right now. We're averaging 6 to like 8 million a month in just volume in sales. So I'm a little worried about leaving for 7 days because there's a 6-hour time difference. But
you'll be all right.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
That's the one thing about our business, man. It's like, I mean, you really kind of get it in, and we haven't been able to recently just because it's been so crazy either with the refis or with the purchases like early on this year. But, traditionally it's like, you could take a little time in the winter and go somewhere warm. But like now that things are opened up and people want to go and do things, it's like, man, like when I go on vacation, it's like my phone's just blowing up the whole time. And it's like, I wish I could just clone myself. Just a dummy that sits at home and does loans. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. But,
it's a really interesting market. So Sheel, how's your TikTok game going, bro? You still doing the TikTok?
So strong. Yeah. I mean, I'm very, very active on social media platforms, especially like Instagram. Transitioning to some other ones soon, but TikTok is consistent. And, it's just crazy how many realtors have joined our office because of my TikTok and my Instagram. So it's like, I'm not even joking. I think it's like almost 12 people year to date.
Really?
I've gotten their real estate license. Like they didn't have their license or just about to get it. And then they end up joining the office just from finding me on social media platforms. And it's been great because I've always told people you obviously can take advantage of the digital world. And there's no better time than right now because even last year was a crazy pickup. But at this point, I can firmly say like a lot of sales are coming from just Instagram itself and Facebook.
That's interesting, man. That's really, I mean, that's the new game. Like you've got to be where the people are looking. And I watch it. I watch TikTok. I watch your TikTok.
I mean, how do you display, or how is someone displaying what they can do for you?
Yeah, it's nice because we have like these things we call like buyer consultation. We want to get an idea what these buyers are looking for. Well, people are just kind of directly coming to me and saying, "Hey, I'm having a tough time finding this. Can you put together can you find me something?" And that's where like a lot of the off-market sales do happen because I'm getting my buyers strictly from social media right now. So with that being said, if you're an agent listening, you really should be retooling your social media platforms to make sure that you're aligned with how the market is today too.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, guys, let's do 3 questions and get Sheel out of here. All right. So, question. I don't remember the 3 questions we gave you last time, Sheel. So we'll try to make them like really odd this time.
Sure.
So, Sheel, if you could, if you had to eat one food for the rest of your life every day, you'd have to eat the same thing. What would it be and why?
Pasta. I'm a vegetarian, so I'm already strict to 2 things: pizza and pasta.
Pizza and pasta.
Either, I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll be fine.
I would do a lot of pasta comes up and pizza comes up. Those 2 things come up quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the easiest ones.
You guys have any questions for Sheel? If you had to be one of the three of us, which one would it be and why?
I think that's an easy answer for him.
I'm going with Brad.
Yeah, Brad looks less stressed out than all of us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I see no gray hairs. He looks good.
Yeah, there you go. There we go. There you go, Brad. He'd be you. He'd be the lemur. Last question. Anybody have any other questions?
I'm trying to think, man. If you had to be locked and barricaded in one city in Southeast Michigan, what would it be and why?
In one city?
Mm-hmm. Like the city limits. You can't go outside of it. You can't order anything from outside of it either.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
That's
not being able to leave.
It is tough.
Because you don't want to say Birmingham without you can go after one block. But you can't say Royal Oak either.
Yeah.
So probably just Detroit.
You can only do business in that city too.
Oh hell no! Yeah, no. I'll stick to Royal Oak then. I'll be fine there.
Yeah,
I think that's a
I
good
don't know
thing
if you've
to think
noticed
about location wise, right? Like what amenities does the city offer?
You guys are in the office, but also working from home. But I mean, I was just at dinner the other night in Royal Oak, and man, I see all these available spaces now.
Yeah,
there's tons
of available spaces. Yeah, which is good for us because we're looking for space, so it works out. So I think, do you see the commercial real estate market rebounding at all? Like, we don't talk about that.
I mean, I've helped a couple of clients actually purchase like up to 1 to 1.2, and they're buying more plazas versus anything else. But I have some restaurateurs who are also reaching out looking for additional space because restaurants are obviously in demand now, just outside being through the hell they went through in the last 24 to 36 months almost. But yeah, so no, there's definitely more appeal for commercial right now.
Yeah, I think especially in the restaurant or entertainment district, you're going to see a little bit of a rebound. But I don't know about the traditional office environment where I'm not seeing that kind of rebounding as fast. Like the high rises with a bunch of offices and it's sterile; those are going to be tougher.
Yeah, I mean, we have IT clients who have like crazy businesses that have clients with Honda, Toyota, all of them, but they're working from home. They're fine. The work hours they're not being sacrificed. Everyone's on demand, so it's good to go.
Right.
I think there's a large opportunity that's probably already, in the works, but for a lot of these companies building, remote workstations and VPNs and whatnot for potentially, thousands of staff. I mean, think of the contracts that you could land as an IT security company.
Right.
Yeah. Even my own assistant, she works from home too. So it's like everyone's just gonna be stationed for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think people are going to want to work from home for a little bit. They're not going to want to go back to the office. They're going to want to live where they want to live. So, and I think offices are going to have to accommodate that. So it'll be interesting. Sheel, why don't you tell the audience how they can get a hold of you?
So follow me on social media platforms, especially if you're trying to just grow your own and connect. It's just my full name, Sheel Sohal, on all platforms, whether it's Instagram, TikTok. Enjoy watching the show.
That's awesome, man. You actually got your full name. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's right. So, Sheel,
I think we all could get our full name here, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brad especially.
Yeah, Weisgerber.
Weisgerber.
No, it's Weisgerber, but Weisgerber. It's German as shit. All right, Sheel, thank you so much, man, for doing the show. We really appreciate you being on, as always. Obviously, we'll see you around. I'm sure we will.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you.
All right,
bye-bye. I like Sheel.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
What I like about Sheel too is he doesn't just do luxury, like we helped a lot of buyers through our first time. And I mean, if you think about that, right? And again, I think that people don't realize or don't think about, like, you get to choose and it all costs the same, right? But you get to choose who you work with as a real estate agent. And like, if you're buying a $250,000 home, right? And you call someone like Sheel who gives you the time of day and the attention, and you see him selling these crazy $1 million homes, like, you got him for a bargain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with that.
Some people in that price range might just brush you off or refer you off. And maybe that's a good thing, right? But if just because maybe they won't give them the attention, but I'm sure there's a lot of them who do take those deals and just don't give them the attention that someone like Sheel does.
That's a really good point. And I think people don't get that. I mean, luxury agents don't just do luxury; they do everything. And then you are, like you saying, getting a really proficient agent for a bargain. To be honest with you, so I think you're right about that. Bradley, you look good today.
I feel like we all got filters on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We all got sleep or something. So
yeah, no, that's not the case.
Yeah, no, it's not the case. All right, guys, anything to add before we go?
No, I mean, it's the summer's here.
Let's
right?
roll.
20 days, 19 days is officially summer, but I mean, it's here. School's out pretty soon here.
It's gonna be the roaring 20s, dude. I'm telling you, people are pent up.
Getting out of school.
Yeah,
literally having
how
like
3-4
weeks.
Like shaving cream fights and like water balloon fights, and it's like the best day on earth, dude.
Just to even have 3 months of like,
going to the beach and doing jack
shit. The biggest task was cutting the lawn, or
right.
I mean, I'm talking young, eventually.
And the summers seemed so long back then too. Like the days went on forever and ever, right? It was like, man, this summer's
probably
long.
would when all you got to do is, ride your bike around, swim, and like
watch Saved by the Bell on Saturdays, right? You know what I mean? That's awesome. All right, for those of you that have stuck around this far, thank you so much for listening to us. We couldn't do it without you. If you like the show, please like, subscribe, share. It really helps us out. To get our name out there. And other than that, please find us on Facebook /IRE podcast if you want to see us live, or on YouTube. You can also go to irepodcast.com, or you can go to anywhere that you listen to your podcast. But other than that, we are out of here. Thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.